Yes, hi there. These comments are for Niraj. This is Michael. I am the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons, and you have paid for the additional service of having your essay corrected. And I'm guessing right now, I've read the thing a couple of times, you're probably looking at about 3.0 out of 5, which means about 20 points out of 30. And during this video, I want to rewrite the different paragraphs to show you how you can change this essay so that it scores 5 out of 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is, in your very first paragraph, I'm going to make some changes here. So you say it's always excitable and full of curiosity to a person only whenever scientists or astronauts find some new details about outer space. I'm going to say something like this. Instead of person, say, the public is excited and curious. I think this is going to be a little bit better than what you've done here. You don't need the comma before that preposition either. So the public is excited and curious. The public is excited and curious whenever scientists or astronauts find some new details about outer space. You might say something like this, such as whether or not life exists on the planet Mars. You might say that's been in the news recently. However, using a lot of it's in there. I'm going to say space exploration. Need to use a little bit more specific vocabulary here. However, space exploration will give excitement to a person How about will, a little bit wordy how you've written it. How about will excite? We've already said excite, I guess. How about fascinate? Society. Only if the basic needs of its citizens are being met. Now, I think we got it. So you say, in my opinion, government should spend money for our basic needs on Earth because it improves the quality of life and also helps to create a more happy and satisfied present. I don't know if that's the best word there. Let's read the whole paragraph one more time. I think we need to change that. So the public is excited and curious whenever scientists or astronauts find some new details about outer space, such as whether or not life exists on the planet Mars. However, space exploration will fascinate society only if the basic needs of its citizens are being met. In my opinion, governments, maybe plural, government should spend money for basic needs on Earth because it improves the quality of life and also helps to create a more happy and satisfied present. I guess it'll work. So you have your thesis, it looks like. You have your 2 key points. It improves the quality of life. That's one key idea. and also helps you create a more happy and satisfied present. Yeah, let's take a look at that thesis one more time here. You have governments should spend money for basic needs on earth because it improves your quality of life and it helps you create a more happy and satisfied present. I don't think your thesis is going to bring you to that spot that's going to help you, because if you really take a look, Niraj, in your second paragraph, you don't really have a key point that connects to it. You do talk about what's called unemployment, which seems to be an important part of the paragraph, but you don't use it as a key point in your topic sentence. In your third paragraph, you say spending money on basic needs like farming, creating new opportunities for jobs, more health awareness, that's too many different ideas. There's no way you can develop all of those ideas in that particular paragraph. So how about let's take a look at maybe 3 key points. So I think the idea of creating a more happy and satisfied present, I think that's a result of your argument or your reasons. I don't see that as a great topic for a body paragraph. I see that more as something that you would state in the conclusion. So should spend more money, should spend money on, not spend money for, on, how about reducing unemployment? That seems to be a key point of your second paragraph. Your third paragraph, we have to get rid of everything there except one point. Then we have to develop that idea. I'm going to go with farming. So reducing unemployment, might want to say technology in farming. So reducing unemployment and improving technology in farming because it improves the quality of life you like a lot of its, because allocating financial resources in these 2 areas improves the quality of life for everyone. The happy and more unified present, that is not going to help you with your thesis. It's just too ambiguous. We don't know what that really means. However, if you say, in my opinion, government should spend money on reducing unemployment and improving technology in farming because allocating financial resources in these 2 areas improves the quality of life for everyone. Then you can say something like this. First of all, governments should spend their precious money on reducing unemployment. So you have too much of the counter argument here. You need to get right to what you're trying to argue. So we're going to get rid of all this. You want to say, as I am from a how about this? A resident of a developing country, India, I have noticed many who do not have enough food for eating, which is due in large part, you want to say, to a high percentage of unemployment. Again, you're not spending enough time on your argument. You're trying to get to this counter argument. It says in the question, which of these two opinions do you agree with? You're spending so much time on the opposite view and why it's not good. You're not really spending any time on your own view. So we included a little bit of a counter argument here right in the beginning, and I would recommend, Niraj, if you want to do a bit of a counter argument with this kind of a question, you can do it in the first paragraph before you get to your thesis. But once you get to the argument here, you need to start building the case. So first of all, instead of investing in space exploration, government should spend their precious money on reducing unemployment. A resident of a developing country, India, I have noticed many who do not have enough food for eating, which is due in large part to a high percentage of unemployment. To alleviate this problem, the government should earmark more money for job training so that its unemployed will be able to earn money which they can use for their basic needs like food and shelter. I'm going to get rid of this too. So let's take a look at our second paragraph. I think we're getting it where we want to be. Instead of investing in space exploration, government should spend their precious money on reducing unemployment. A resident of a developing country, India, I have noticed many who do not have enough food for eating, which is due in large part to a high percentage of unemployment. To alleviate this problem, that's a good vocabulary word. You want to improve your vocabulary, definitely. To alleviate this problem, the government should earmark. How about earmark? That means to direct money to a specific area, should earmark more money for job training so its unemployed citizens will be able to find jobs. Qualify themselves for good paying jobs from the earnings I think we got it. Let's see what we have. So, from the earnings of which they can use for their basic needs like food and shelter. So let's take a look at the second paragraph one more time. First of all, instead of investing in space exploration, government should spend their precious money on reducing unemployment. A resident of developing country India, I've noticed many who do not have enough food for eating, which is due in large part to a high percentage of unemployment. To alleviate this problem, the government should earmark more money for job training so its unemployed citizens will be able to qualify themselves for good-paying jobs. How about physical therapists? That'll work. So they can qualify themselves for good paying jobs such as being pharmacists, physical therapists, and accountants, from the earnings of which they can use for their basic needs like food and shelter. Okay, so I think we're getting somewhere. So I put the words pharmacists, physical therapists, and accountants to make it a little more specific. When you get into the body of the paragraph, you want to be a little more specific. I've also put some higher level words in there which you're not using. Words like alleviate or earmark, or using a little bit more advanced grammar saying from the earnings of which. It means the earnings of these jobs actually probably don't need from here, just say the earnings of which they can use for the basic needs like food and shelter. So that would be some suggestions. I'm sure I will tweak this even more before I'm done with this particular video, but let's go on to the next paragraph. So if we use, first of all, in that second paragraph, then I'm going to use third of all. Now remember, you don't have to use first of all or second of all, it's just a suggestion. The next idea, if we go back to your thesis, I think, is the farming thing. So we go back to improving technology in farming. So we'll say government should spend more money on improving technology in farming. Now, the only problem, as I'm saying in this paragraph, you have way too many ideas here. You have creating new opportunities for jobs, more health awareness program, creating healthy society, and then you go into the farming thing, just too many different things. Stop. A paragraph needs to have a unified paragraph. You do that by creating a topic sentence which focuses around one key idea, and then you use a whole bunch of different examples to help support that idea. So unfortunately, I hate to do it, but we have to get rid of a lot of these ideas here, and then we have to expand the one idea that you have. So government should spend more money on improving technologies in farming. You have to say, for example, the government, by spending more money on research, will be able to develop fertilizers and weed control products so that farmers will be able to increase their produce yields by giving the plants the nutrients they need and by exterminating the weeds that are competing for those same nutrients. And you've kind of said that, new pesticides, which is the same thing. And you got a lot of good cause-effect type relationships here. We're going to take your idea here. I think it's going to work perfectly. So the idea is farmers will be able to increase their produce yield by giving the plants the nutrients they need and by exterminating the weeds that are competing for those same nutrients. Here, you need what's called cause-effect. Consequently, farmers will earn more, so then can invest. No, so they. No comma here, using more of an adverb clause here, so that they can invest more and will harvest more crops. Here, use a semicolon because you have two separate sentences here. Niraj, you have this one, which is a sentence, and then you have this is your second sentence here. So your choice here is either a semicolon or say, and thus. I think the semicolon works. Semicolon, thus, the prices will be low. Just say more, the prices will be more affordable. Prices will be affordable for poor people. They will be able to probably, that's a little too simple, use who, combine these, who will be able to buy food at lower prices. How about we'll be able to buy quality food at lower prices, so then you don't have to worry about using this. Now we need to take a look for a minute at our word count here. You only need about 350 words here, and you are plenty. I mean, you're having no problems reaching that, so I might get rid of that paragraph after this. Let's take a word count right now. Let's see where we are. Okay, we're at 277, which means we cannot get rid of that paragraph, or we need to expand these two paragraphs more. Let's go back to the thesis. The public is excited and curious whenever scientists or astronauts find some new details about outer space, such as whether or not life exists on the planet Mars. However, space exploration will fascinate society only if the basic needs of its citizens are being met. In my opinion, government should spend money on reducing unemployment and improving technology in farming, because allocating financial resources in these two, let's say, basic areas, because the question does say, how about basic needs instead of areas? That connects this thesis back to the purpose. So allocating financial resources in these two basic needs improves the quality of life for everyone. I guess this can be your third point. So we have our first point, reducing unemployment, improving technology and farming, and then we talk about improving the quality of life for everyone. So maybe in that fourth paragraph, based on what you want to do, we can now begin synthesizing the two key points from paragraphs 2 and 3 and begin showing the effect of these two ideas on how it will affect the quality of life for everyone. So let's take a look. Finally, decreasing unemployment and improving technology in farming will, we go back to improving the quality of life, will improve the quality of life for everyone. Let's look at your last paragraph. What can we salvage here? Not a lot. I can't really say much in this paragraph. It really doesn't fit. You have to get more organized. I'm telling you, try to make things simpler. You're too complicated. You bring up too many different ideas, but you don't really give specific details to support those ideas. You're jumping around a lot. That is going to really cause big trouble on your writing and your TOEFL writing score. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so let's take a look at what we can do with this particular paragraph. So now we kind of have to have a cause-effect relationship with the two ideas. So what is the effect on the unemployment in terms of the quality of life? I'm going to say, for instance, when people are working, they are happier since they are able to provide for themselves and their families. Which may help them to reduce stress and even sicknesses that they have had. How about this? Being able to increase their produce in the case of farmers, being able to grow more crops at lower prices. From this, since they will be able to afford the fresh produce, which may also help to make them and their families healthier. So therefore, from these people's overall quality of life is improved. Okay, I think we're getting there. We are making some progress here. So this one, I'm getting rid of it. Just doesn't work. Sorry. So in conclusion, now we get to the end, right? Let's take a word count one more time. .420. Now originally, I don't know if you realize this, but you started off with 477 words, but it's a lot of generalities and things. It didn't work very well. I have 420 words, and I'm a lot more specific in what I'm doing in the different paragraphs. So what I had to do is, I did make some changes in your thesis, as you already know, and then I had to structure your body paragraphs with tighter topic sentences along with more specific details. These are some of the changes I've made so far in the essay. Now we're getting to the actual conclusion. Okay, so at the very end, what's interesting, you do mention the counter argument a little bit. I don't think that's a bad strategy because you know, even in the beginning of the essay, we did talk about that particular thing in the beginning before we got to your thesis, right? So you say, in conclusion, government should spend more money for our basic needs first and should give more satisfaction and security to see, this is, you got to go back to what you did in the essay to reducing unemployment and improving farming technologies. And then after the base accomplishment of this target, I'm going to go back to the beginning where you say after the quality of life of everyone is improved in these areas. That's going to connect it better. Say after the quality of everyone's lives are improved in these two areas. They then should, how about consider spending money to explore the rest of the universe? I think we got it. Now let's spell check it. My spelling's probably worse than yours. Wouldn't be surprised. So of course, resources, we're changing it. We're changing the spelling there, so change that. Everyone is misspelled. Unemployment is misspelled. Consider is misspelled. Okay, but we're not done yet. Now we need to go through one more time. Let's make sure we got everything done. I cannot guarantee I will correct every single error here. This is live pretty much. This is unplanned. I took your essay. I rewrote it to show you how to score a perfect score. So nothing's going to be perfect here. So any of you YouTube critics out there, you can throw your darts at me because I know that this is not going to be perfect. But this essay will score high on the TOEFL IBT exam. There's no doubt about that. Paragraph 1. The public is excited and curious whenever scientists or astronauts find some new details about outer space, such as whether or not life exists on the planet Mars. How about find answers to the MYSTER, the mysteries? I think that's going to work better. I'm changing because I said whether or not life exists, that really means does life exist on the planet Mars? So I changed the previous sentence to, or the sentence that precedes that noun clause to better connect to that idea. Again, the public is excited and curious whenever scientists or astronauts find some answers to the mysteries of outer space, such as whether or not life exists on the planet Mars. However, space exploration will fascinate society only if the basic needs of its citizens are being met. In my opinion, government should spend money on reducing unemployment and improving technology and farming because allocating financial resources in these two basic needs improves the quality of life for everyone. Now what we have, Niraj, is we have key point 1, reducing unemployment. We have key point 2, improving technology and farming. And then we have how these two things, what the overall effect on these two things would be, which is improves the quality of life for everyone. So that really brings our third point in the third paragraph. So, the next paragraph. First of all, instead of investing in space exploration, government should spend their precious money on reducing unemployment. A resident of a developing country, India, I have noticed many who do not have enough food for eating, which is due in large part to a high percentage of unemployment. To alleviate this problem, the government should earmark more money for job training so its unemployed citizens will be able to qualify themselves for good-paying jobs such as pharmacists. I don't think we need the being here. How about such as pharmacists, physical therapists, and accountants, the earnings of which they can use for their basic needs like food and shelter. Third of all, wait a minute. How do we go from first of all to third of all? Second of all, the government should spend more money on improving technologies and farming. For example, the government, maybe just one, the government, by spending more money on research, will be able to develop new fertilizers and weed control products. And you can say pesticides there if you want. Will be able to increase their produce yields by giving the plants nutrients they need and by exterminating the weeds that are competing for those same nutrients. I don't think we need a comma here. We're not really joining two independent clauses. so they can increase their produce yields by giving the plants the nutrients they need and by exterminating the weeds. How about get rid of that are competing? We can make it more concise, am I right? Writers are never done. It's a process. It really is. Unfortunately, for the TOEFL writing, you don't have a process. You kind of have to put it together very quickly. But you can learn a lot from some of the changes I'm making, and if you practice more, then you'll be less likely to make these kinds of problems during the TOEFL exam. Okay, the next thing. Consequently, I think put a comma after the transition word. Farmers will earn more so that they can invest more into their business and will harvest more crops. Thus, the prices will be more affordable for poor people. You don't need to have to say they there, because people, who means people, who will be able to buy quality food at lower prices. Finally, decreasing unemployment, improving technology in farming will improve. How about that for some synthesis? You have your points A in the second paragraph. You have your point B in that third paragraph. Now the purpose of the fourth paragraph is to take the 2 points and show how they will affect the quality of life for everyone. That is organized. It says decreasing unemployment, improving technology in farming will improve the quality of life for everyone. For instance, when more people are working, they're happier since they will be able to provide for themselves and their families, which may help them to reduce stress and even sickness that they have had. Moreover, in the case of farmers being able to grow more crops at lower prices, people in society will greatly benefit from this, since they will be able to afford the fresh produce, which may also help to make them and their families healthier. Hence, people's overall quality of life is improved. So think about that. Then we have our final idea here. In conclusion, government should spend more money for our basic needs first, and should give more satisfaction and security to reducing unemployment and improving farming technologies. And after, the quality of everyone's lives is improved, should say, because quality is singular. How about that? So, and after the quality of everyone's lives is improved in these two areas, they then should consider spending money to explore the rest of the universe. All right. Now, what does it mean to you? What do you do now? I've taken your essay, which I'm going to say you would be scoring, I hate to say it, but probably between 18 and 20 points out of 30, your essay. Now, what I've done here is a 30 out of 30 essay. So what you want to do now, Niraj, is go to my website. There's a few things that you want to take a look at. So in the writing part of my course, focus, I can't remember the exact lessons, but you want to focus on creating a more sharply focused thesis. That's very, very important. You did not do that. You need more practice on creating sharply focused topic statements, and you need to work a little bit more on developing appropriate details for those topic ideas. These are actually some of the things that you want to work on right now. Now, if I go onto the internet, let me just kind of give you a basic idea here. Let me go to a few things here. Give me a second. Because it's not enough to just correct your essay and to show you what's wrong, but I think I need to also give you some ideas on what you can do to strengthen your writing so you don't have these kinds of problems in the future. So I'm clicking on the link. We want to go to the writing section. I think we're getting there. Okay, here. I've found what we're looking for. So, I think here, I'm going to say lesson 2 is important. I think pre-writing strategies for your independent writing task. Lesson number 4, creating sharply focused thesis statements for the independent writing task. Lesson 5, writing effective body paragraphs. I think you should take a look at this. 5.1, writing effective topic sentences. 5.2, using transition words to connect ideas. Lesson 5.3, writing details to support your generalizations. So I think that those things are very, very important to what you're doing. And finally, lesson number 8, how to make your writing more coherent. So I think you can benefit by reviewing those specific lessons to help strengthen your writing. And remember here, we're not just talking, Niraj, about the TOEFL exam, but we're talking about writing in general. The ideas I'm giving you here can help you be professional in your writing, and not just for TOEFL, but it'll benefit you for your academics and also for your professional or your job type writing if you need to use it in those contexts. Does that make sense? So anyway, thank you very much. I enjoyed reading your essay, going over your essay, giving you some pointers, showing you, as you can see, some of the changes you can make to make your essay score higher. Anyway, thank you very much. And remember, if you like my TOEFL course, tell somebody about it. Send them a quick email, and I'll try to help you with that. And I would appreciate if you do that.